Even if it's like a 5 minute meeting or something, just so to have a record, that there was a meeting, we've been doing operational work.
Yeah.
And what were you saying? You can repeat. There was ducks waggling or something.
Well, just this, like, sometimes we can idealize like being really prepared before doing something, like having all the ducks in a row and then buy a house, or have all the ducks in a row and then launch a business, right? But it doesn't always work that neatly, right? So we may have a lot of ducks. I don't know. Basil said they're waddling, and I said they're in a gaggle. We're gathering the ducks, they're around, and we're still launching a thing, even if they're not in a row or we don't have all the ducks that we need. Like we'll get to it. That was the idea, I guess, of
Yeah.
you can't always perfect a thing or be, you know, some sort of idealized version of prepared to actually do a thing and like live a life.
Yeah.
What I was trying to say. That's a long version right there.
It's good. It's a good version. It's a good pep talk. We've got a gaggle of waddling ducks and we're gonna get there. We're going in the right direction.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, well then let's be in touch soon. And yeah, thanks.
Sounds good. All right. Bye. Bye, Basil. Later.
Bye. All right. Hello, sir. So what would you like to go over today? I mean, I was going over, as you saw, right? Like there's definitely some operational tasks that we need to do. So, you and I could talk about that, see if there's anything that you want to take on. We could also sort of check in about the meeting with Todd yesterday. Um, or talk about, it could sort of lead you through a little preview of the app, and you could share some thoughts on that or anything else. What do you think?
Well, my focus is on revenue, driving revenue in, and then what is the funnels for that. Um, I just got off the call with Daniel, and and it looks like so he has a project for Salesforce for an employee engagement plan for Salesforce corporate.
Hmm.
Uh, and and they need a vendor. So the plan is that we would we would establish Better Worlds 501(c)(3) as a vendor, um, and and then for all of the podcast production services and maybe some documentary film production services, potentially also utilizing Better Worlds as a branded vendor, as a nonprofit vendor,
Hmm.
um, and then that sort of brings in the contracts, and then pays out to the co-op for the actual services for the labor. Um, so I was just checking on ChatGPT if there's any like issues with like the nonprofit like that doing like business operations, and it just says as long as the media and event services are tied to the charitable goals of Better Worlds, then it's fine. Then we don't. Then Better Worlds doesn't pay any additional taxes on that income.
Hmm.
Brings it in, and then as business income, nonprofit income, and then reports it on the IRS form 990. Um, so I think that could be it. So then my thinking is that I would want to spin up a page anyway. So that's the business side. So then so Better Worlds, which exists, can like handle like income to then pay to the co-op. The next step is like the forming of that co-op. And so with our conversation with Todd, with Roots, and then he's in process of forming up, going through like the paperwork for Meadow Co-op. Then yeah, that's sort of what I would want to get to next is you know getting to like the co-op for production services, like the I guess the D Studio co-op or something, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
it
like,
makes sense. It certainly makes sense because we talked about it yesterday. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I don't have a good, I don't have like a full handle on the like the workings of that. Um, but that I think is not my focus at the time. My focus now is just sort of, getting the HSC, the cooperative, the collective, kind of up and running. Um, you know, rather, and then, which is
but still
not
not
really
registered.
it's not the revenue generator at this time. But getting that up and running is, meant to be, a people generator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I guess what we could do is look at like your app that you've been working on.
Sure.
Um, yeah. So let's look at the app. So yeah, because I'm just looking at Roots Co-op, which is a great name, and like obviously like I would really love for like Haifa to be like partnering with Roots or whatever. Because it sounded like he was interested in us doing like a test case for that idea we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so if we can do like a test case for like for leveraging Web3 tools for co-op governance and accounting, essentially, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
As a
Well,
model.
I think that could be a good, right. Like when you're talking about, a use case, right? So you have, the idea is for you to, get the capacity to be able to bring in more revenue, but you do have revenue coming in, right? So it's, which even at this point, it doesn't sound like, Roots Co-op has, itself, right, has that much, right? So if you have revenue coming in, then that means that there's actually, some like enough of a flow, right, to experiment with the use case, to actually have it, to turn it from theoretical to tangible. So it seems like a good opportunity. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
That's
know.
really like what's holding me back from like turning on more flow is not having the, the branded site that I'm happy with, because I don't like the studio as like an outward facing brand. Better Worlds though is a much better outward facing brand. Roots is a great brand name, but I was racking, I like Meadow as a brand name for like an agency, or Meadow Creative or whatever. But yeah, I need, that's really all that holds me back is the being happy with the brand. Uh, the
Yeah. Well, what about I mean, I think this is what you were saying before, but let me make sure I have it right. Like what about like the essentially you'd be like the production arm of Better Worlds, right? So you're the production arm of Better Worlds, meaning that you're making the content for Better Worlds, but you also like, you can also, make media for outside clients as well through the Better Worlds brand.
y-
Is that
y-
workable?
yeah. So essentially, like for people that want they're in our regenerative space that want podcast services or film, I can point them to better worlds, and then like service offerings through better worlds, and then as well as I could point them to if they need. So the idea is that the D Studio would be like embedded within these other organizations, so like with Meadow Creative, if D Studio is an entity that's connected to them, that's like responsible for like production services, then they're able to sell production services, and Meadow is able to get a piece of the pie as a profit margin, as a margin.
Yeah.
And then me as a producer, when it comes to any kind of brand creative services, I'm like, okay, go to our partner Meadow Creative first to like sort of work out those details. I still need to meet the people, but I trust people. Quality is another story altogether. I don't know like what their abilities are, but it's actually having to be able to be able to that's all I need. Is I just need like the other organizations to like point people to for like client service,
Right. Yeah. So it's the same thing we sort of were talking about, and we're hoping at a certain point, right? And who knows in the future, but like talking about as far as HSC might be.
And then
right?
I point
But as
to
we've
the
gone
HSC
along, right, HSC has not been, like that's sort of like the phase two, right? So we're not that entity now.
once the services are lined out, but
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe HSC doesn't have to even be the like doesn't end up as that entity. Maybe it is something like Meadow, right, or Roots Co-op. Like maybe right. There's already an agency. There's already a creative agency that's working in this way that just wants to be part of the ecosystem anyways. Um, and then does,
right.
yeah, so I don't, right. I don't know what
Well,
happens with HSC as far as the agency part over time.
well, like like Meadow would be like a boutique agency cooperative, set up as a co-op, from the way I get it. And then there are other boutique agents, because Meadow won't be able to handle everything on the planet. So it's like there's other agencies and service companies that that we can still like grow into this interwoven network of service providers. But one of the service providers, theoretically, in the way I've seen it, and why I'm part of HSC, is somebody needs to like handle the people. Somebody needs to like onboard the talent into the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And then help to like support the talent with questions and sort of hand holding, like pointing and then opportunity, pointing to opportunities,
Right.
or like
Plugging them into the ecosystem. Yeah. Yeah, right. So then maybe that's a part of what HSC is able to offer, as a service to the ecosystem.
right. So then HSC has contracts with other members of the ecosystem to provide X services, like HR, or whatever it is. Right now, you're focused on developing the tools, but at the end of the day, that where I think the profit for HSC is to be able to get organizations and NGOs and co-ops and DAOs to like become subscribers or members of HSC, HSC, to get something. So like we just, like when I was imagining like a nonprofit that needs like help, going from, going to the next level, or with HR, or with like holistic services. So HSC, in the name, holistic systems co-op, and holistic services, but the idea is to be able to go to a business that's like maybe a solopreneur or whatever, and be able, then they can like pay a subscription to HSC to receive, they become a member, and based upon their tier, then they have access to services which can be like adjusted on need.
Totally. Yeah.
At the end of the
And
day,
that's why you actually said it right.
Go up around them.
You said services, right? And that's why I grabbed the domains, because I thought that, at a certain point, I grabbed the domains like holistic systems dot services. Right. And so that could break off, right? So there could be holistic systems cooperative and then holistic systems services, as that arm. But so I think that's, yeah, we talked about it. I mean, I think it's a great plan. It's totally doable. And I think it's not like it's down the road. It's not even something I'm like,
just because you can't
focus
on that right now. If you were just focused on money making only, then we could like go offer like consulting services to businesses to like help them growth services. But
but we don't have anybody we don't have any, other than, then we go back to the problem.
We have Daniel, we have me, we have Kim, we have people to like provide like services. But it's not perfectly architected yet. So step one is like creating the HSC or HS co-op, or the HSC co-op kind of plan, the onboarding plan to sort of build up that sort of roster of people across all of these healers and helpers sort of space, right? And then designing that sort of offering for like, hey, are you a startup, or are you a business, or you wanting to like look at like starting a co-op or a DAO or whatever it is, then we can like help guide people through these processes so that they don't need to worry about like hiring people, and they can have this like good customer experience, good member experience. We're like what Saya,
yeah.
She's a doula, right? That's what she likes to do.
She's a full-on doula of all things.
Doula. So then, do you need a doula for your business? Then boom. But that's like an offering that it's not just her. It's an offering that she's maybe like an example of a person who would be like one of the first points of contact, and then she knows, then she can build a team, or she can recommend, the team for providing like, back end services, whatever, website services, all of that stuff, so that we can help grow businesses.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's a great model. It's a great model. And
that's not this year, and maybe not next year, but the year after, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Like I think probably, earliest the year after. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Sometimes things, catch fire, but at this point, there's nothing, it's like the ideas sound, and that's as much as I'm sort of just concentrating on it. I'm really just concentrating on.
Yeah, I would say that it wouldn't be like,
now.
It wouldn't be like outside the realm of possibility that like over the, heading into like quarter one, after we get through this quarter, then like Sai and I, we could talk about like what maybe like a service might be, and then we just find that one sort of prototype customer, by the end of next year or something, to just kind of like test the idea, just so that we can sense check that idea, because I mean for me that's more important than production services. As a to be able to support businesses and organizations to like grow.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
part of
absolutely.
that. But
Absolutely, right. And it goes right with the ethos that that HSC has, is building and has created anyways. So, but it doesn't happen until the resources are there to be able to, start to develop it. So that's, it'll
cool.
like the time, like yeah, we'll know when it's there because we'll have resources, we'll have people, we'll have people who have time and effort and want to do it, and will sign up for it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
You
where are
know,
you at with the app
yeah, the
development?
app, right? And that's the other thing that's happening, right? So because there's HSC, right, which is like what we just talked about, but now there's Circle Trust, and so Circle Trust is the app and the platform that we're developing and building to be able to support any other type of community to do what we're doing, right? So HSC is just one use case, right? And land-based projects are one use case, and other professional organizations or communities are one use case, right? So it's the idea is that like, you know, at this base level, this HSC model, right? And really what we're sort of come together with a Circle Trust, is something as a platform and a service that we say, oh, you have a community and you want to activate all the different resources and value that you have, and you want to be able to exchange. You want to, um, you want to like find that group strength. Here's, this is the way to do it. We have the tool set up. You walk right into it. We have the service. We have, some of these models and frameworks. So I think, in that perspective, that's actually a revenue, a revenue creation endeavor. So
Uh,
I don't know if you were, I just wanted to make sure you're clear on that, right? So there's that's what's happening now. And so, it was always kind of like that was always like a possibility that we were talking about, which was like this product. It's like, okay, we create this thing and then it works and then we can, have it as like a, more of a product for other organizations or communities. But now that, sort of Todd stepped in and Root stepped in, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we have like the resources and the people who want to, now create that at the same time, right? So HSC is kind of the first one. So
mhm.
as we build HSC, and if we find that HSC is successful, right, then that creates, more, more reason that Circle Trust, is successful and back and forth. So it's really, yeah. And so that's where the app comes in.
So so Chuck Harrison he's working on um, this they call it OSWAPs uh, in order to easily like handle the trade, the payment, the swapping of all of the different DAO tokens. So like the HSC co-op token, the D Studio Honey.
Mm,
So anything that's currently on that Telos sort of like uh, internal DAO sort of token, he's creating that with like seeds as like an intermediary thing. So he's working on that sort of functionality. Seeds version 2 or whatever. They're trying to they're going to do like a solstice event on December 21st, and they've put in a proposal today and voted on it to have me help as like an event sort of planner, to help. It's just going to be a Zoom event, but then like a budget, like $1,000 budget too, to like kind of do film about the history of seeds, and then they're going to announce like the plans for that. I'm just trying to just sort of figure out how all this is going to work. I really like Todd because his youth and his intelligence and the fact that he comes from banking, um, and what he showed us today with Gitcoin, um, and then he's part of the BioFi sort of working group. It just makes sense that we can bring it all together for this bioregional stuff. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to, there's so much to that, right, that wants to come together, and that was the primary theme that I think everybody found right at the gathering of tribes, right? Is like, okay, we've got all these projects and all these amazing people working on all these, sort of amazing things. How do we bring them together? And how do we interconnect? So I think that's, right, there's a lot of streams, right? And there's a lot of people who are, connecting with people who are doing, these community ecosystem type, value exchanges. And so it's
a ton of experiments. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well,
Which
let me
is
show you
really
the app
important,
then.
like the forest growth. It's just like it's all growing, but how do we how do we bring together that soil to support that? So Gitcoin is a good thing, potentially on that front. What is the name of his app, his main app?
Oh, Vivero?
Vero. Vero. So that has the 501c3 fiscal, so that people can donate, I guess, and get a tax write-off
Yeah, yeah, I think
from the
so.
501,
Yeah,
and then like a piece of that for admin goes to the 501, and then like a piece that's optional goes to the tech platform team.
yeah. And part of what we can do and what, Todd and I have talked about, right, with Circle Trust, and with HSC, right? But even more so with Circle Trust is to combine, start to offer these things as well, right? So holistic systems, is creating this, a whole value exchange and resource pooling mechanism, right? But we can bring in what has understandings in creating, which is like, okay, well, let's also invest together, let's also, bring in our money and then, decide where we want to donate that to, together, right? So the giving, right? So these are just different kinds of ways that communities can pool their resources and then what to do with the resources, where to flow the value. So, I think that's really the idea with Circle Trust, is that the more different ways that we're able to add in and then incorporate, then the more it's going to be, valuable to each community. And then, of course, just like Haifa, sort of like this model, right? But then the idea is really these networked communities. And that's where I think the major power comes in, right? Is that it isn't holistic systems just, in and of itself, right? It's these networked communities. And so, I was at the Haifa, as I think you chimed in there at the end, the expert session today, and it's great. I don't exactly quite know yet how, HSC and how this sort of ecosystem that we're working on connects, or utilizes Haifa, but I still think that they're quite complementary.
There's no friction. There's no easy system out there. Everybody else is working on Ethereum, which is high gas fees. It's just not. It's not worth it. The Haifa ecosystem, even if it's rudimentary form, at least it's like on Telos, which is super lean, which is what So for me, like we can get all of these good ideas done. We can like pull, on micro levels and sometimes macro levels. We can create a system to pull like, a percentage of profits into a pool that's for charitable use, and we can then vote on where that pool goes on an annual basis or project basis. The main reason I went into Haifa was because what there's so much fraud in that world. And on the positive side, even if there's no fraud, um, there's no easy to audit way to check like where the funds go, and then see that entire stream because people are using fiat currencies and it just disappears. And so, and then you don't know like who made the decision to give money to that, person or that organization or that community or that whatever. And then there wasn't any like robust, robust voting mechanism for making decisions on where to like, send that money. Traditionally it'd be like a board or a group, it'd be more like a board format making decisions on who gets the grant money in a traditional charity, and so that's like a small group of people behind closed doors making decisions. And I just feel like having like sort of bringing out the back room stuff into like public for decision making was for me was the most important thing, and that sort of auditable accounting over time, so that 20 years from now we can look back at an organization and see exactly like where the money came from and where it went, and then ideally like what impact that had as like a reported mechanism back. That was for me was the main thing with Haifa. Circle Trust, like can you see like with Roots as like a tech provider, right? Is that the idea? A tech platform builder or whatever, platform co-op?
Yeah, like tech and software, provider.
So Roots is that. Haifa has that really niche thing that they're doing. I just feel like Roots can like develop, the sort of the user experience layer, and then connect to just like that sort of base. So like, because like Haifa version 3, from what I can gain, is meant to become more user friendly, but it's also meant to be like more flexible with lots of plugins. So if like Haifa is providing like this one core layer for like accounting essentially, then organizations like Roots, can create. So then Circle Trust could have like a back-end accounting thing that's Haifa, but all of the rest is like completely new, or built on top of that. Because then like I trust Haifa. So over the next 20 years, then we can develop the sort of like core. We can develop the core, but we have all of these different like UIs and UXs built on top of that over time. It's kind of what Matrix is doing with the communications platforms, it seems like. Have you looked at Matrix?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, so that's an open source communications platform, and then you have all of these different servers and groups designing on top of that sort of encrypted communication platform.
Cool.
It itself is run by a transparent or relatively transparent sort of foundation, kind of system. So anyway, so back to Circle Trust. What is the core features or the core function that you have right now for that? What is the?
Yeah, let's take a look. So this is, I mean, it's starting to get there. Right. So, it's basically what we have is there's four main pieces, right? As far as like the real kind of functionality out of it, there's number one is the member profiles, right? So the member profiles, so all the members are here. Each person has a profile. There's a lot of information that's that's going to be behind this, right? So the member profiles as we go along, they get very, they're going to be very robust. There's going to be a lot of information that is tied into each member, right? As far as it's not on this page, but as far as their what are their skill sets? What are their areas of expertise? What are their let me pull up uh, there's so many spreadsheets. Let me pull this up. So there's a lot of information that's part of what we're developing, right? So like area, skill sets and expertise, what are their value sharing categories? What are their needs and offerings? What are, their goals? What are their, different types of, values and skill sets and, all of that, right? So, that, and then that really basically helps in the matching part, right? So the first part is really the matching and connecting. So, with you have, your filters and you have, search features and sort features and all of that. Um, so more and more we're going to be able to, match people to, just basically for their needs and offerings, right? So that then leads right into, the needs and offerings, which is, right, is the more simple way and functional way to match needs and offerings, right? So it's just like, I have a need, right, for somebody to help me with Python tutoring, okay? And then, that's going to have different categories behind it. Everybody can just add in needs and offerings. So at a certain point, there's going to be a whole big list, right? And we'll have better, search and filter functionality. So that's sort of the connecting piece. The next one is the community contributions, right? So this is, the list of ways. So if I want to add, this isn't the form that's working. I think there's one of these contribution forms that's working, right? So I want to add, so this is the way that we're all earning like community tokens, right? Community credits. So, we have these things. Okay, what did I do? I referred a potential member, that led to something. All right. What's the date? Details, submit. Okay, so, and then that's worth, 5 credits, 5 tokens. You can enter that, right? So then again, connected to each member is the amount of tokens that they have, right? These community tokens. So then, and we can, so then it's a matter of like setting up the methods for, for really like what you do with the tokens, right? So the main utility of the token, like what you do with it is you you convert it into voucher credits. So that's the final piece, which is not up here yet. Which is the voucher exchange. So basically, that's the final piece is, everybody, mints their own vouchers, right? So it's different than a need and offering, which is something where like, oh, okay, I'm seeing that there's a need. Let's connect. Let's talk about it. A voucher is basically it's just it's a good or it's a service or a good that you just redeem. So you buy and sell it, but it's a non-monetary system. So in other words, it's gift cards, right? So it isn't where I have to like connect with you and whatever. If you put in a voucher for, an hour of your media services and, I collect, 4 of those vouchers or something, then I basically say, hey, Basil, I've got these vouchers, just like if I had cash, I want to redeem your services. So they have a lot of value, right? So that's the commitment pooling, the voucher system. At this point, we're talking about utilizing the back end functionality, and the Web3 functionality that Will Rudick with Grassroots Economics has set up, rather than try to create that here. It's actually the voucher pooling from the front end is pretty simple, but it's quite complex actually from the back end, especially if you want to have like the value indexing, right? So this community deciding, this community defining of value. Um, so what the plan is now is to use this app functionality and then, um, have a custodian, basically act as a custodian, for people who, don't have, the wherewithal to just have a wallet and use Web3. So basically just be, and Will is that's something that he's wanting to set up anyway. So we're kind of going to help develop that together, is this custodial system. Um, and then, the other, right, there's other, pieces, right? So on the app, right? So there's going to be dashboards, of how many tokens you have. Oh, the other piece is, right, is like you can transfer tokens to other people. So, each community can decide, but, there's a way where when, when resources are coming in, right, this token has a certain value, this certain utility, and it's like the gratitude pool. So, some of what comes in just goes to these pools that then you send to other members. So that's, it's a way that, it's another different kind of monetary, exchange. Um, and, at this point, the primary way that money is coming into the pool, I guess there's two ways. Number one is like members, so we're going to have, some kind of monthly membership fee, whether it's 10 or $15 or something like that, right? Of course, we're paying that back to ourselves because we're the ones who are, running it. And then the other way is like, money that comes in for vouchers, right? So we can put in an exchange these gift cards, um, in a way where there doesn't have to be currency, but people can also seed the pool with money, right? And then take a gift card. So you can, so I can buy a gift card and then redeem it for your services. And so then that starts to bring in money, for the pool, and for the people who are offering these services. So, so it's, as we're developing the onboarding, the outreach and the onboarding now. So part of what I, need to be developing in addition to like building out the platform, um, is what we're talking, how we're explaining this to people, right? So I'm telling you a lot more of like, this is the big, the big picture idea, and this is what's going on in the back. I've got to figure out what people, actually want to know or need to know, and then
How do I get paid if I'm a service provider?
what's that?
How do I get paid cash by providing
Yeah,
services?
well, that's I mean, right, that's something that we're working on, right? That's a higher level, um, feature, right? So right now, we're either going to do just have it, use Stripe, right? So that's a question I don't have the answer to right now,
No, I mean
right?
like,
Because
yeah, where does okay. So let's go for the
because
user
people can,
journey.
like, if I say I want to seed the money, like we can just have, like they can just pay with Stripe or whatever. The challenge, and this is why, we think that we want to utilize, tokens and Web3 and try and start to do that rather than set up a whole other financial system, is the paying out of the value flow to individual members, right? That's the trick, and I think that's why it needs to be, tokens and Web3.
Yeah. Um, so okay. Uh, so you're asking the service providers to pay a membership fee to be a part of this, and then they put offers, and then there's the valuation for that, and then you have uh, and then when they put an offer in, they get, which is a promise, then they get some internal platform credits. They get some platform credits. And then when they do other things for the platform, then they also get credits. So they build up their credit pool, which is still like held as custodian for their account, and at least for a while, for foreseeable.
Essentially, it's held in their wallet, right? So they have a wallet, and those wallets have, these yeah, but these credits, these voucher credits, and right. So it's either going to be custodial, or maybe if somebody has a Web3 wallet and knows, they can just do it directly. But that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Basically.
mean, it'd be really easy just to like white label the Hypha wallet to Circle Trust, and then you don't need to like develop a whole system because Nick spent a lot of time building that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, some of
or
it
the
is like,
Citizen Wallet, but Citizen Wallet is on Ethereum. It's built with Ethereum,
yeah, I mean, Will is built his, like Seraphim network on the Silo blockchain.
which is
So
Ethereum, which has gas
yeah,
fees, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, but I guess Silo is
Subsidizing it?
somehow when you're just, yeah, there's gas fees when you exit Silo, but somehow in Silo, like the gas fees are like really super low.
Have to look into that. So, but these wouldn't be CeeLo credits. This would be a layer 3 on top of CeeLo. Is Sarafu like trading in CeeLo or his own token?
No, Seraphim's trading in Silo.
Yeah, so this is the issue. You're trading with a liquid token, which is CeeLo, rather than just a marker token, which is like super lean, these credit tokens. Because
Well,
if people are getting CeeLo tokens as credit tokens, then they can just like exit because those are openly traded on the market. It's not like Tilo, it's not like Hypha tokens for like co-op or whatever, which are, those are not openly traded. You could black market them, but it's just too much work and effort, to
yeah.
set up a black market for that. Whereas if you're trading a layer 2 token like CeeLo or Optimism or any of those,
But
then
I don't know that you're trading it. I don't know how you, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the exiting and
CeeLo
yeah,
is it.
yeah, I
CeeLo
hear
is
what you're
cash.
saying. I
CeeLo
hear
is
what you're
cash.
saying.
CeeLo is literally cash. It's really easy to go to cash with CeeLo. Whereas these credits are platform credits for as part of the barter exchange. Now, if people are getting paid cash, those can be CeeLo tokens that go to their wallets for payments. So
Hmm.
then you're working with that layer 2 token, CeeLo, which is great for payments because
Yeah.
Gitcoin uses CeeLo, right?
Oh, I'm not sure. Is it?
Well, no, it uses well, no, it uses OP, I think, Optimism. But
Hmm.
anyway, those are little details, but
No, but
uh,
I mean, that's a really good, it's
it's
a
the
good
reason
point.
the reason why I chose Hypha is because we can create our organizational network tokens, and we don't need to worry about all this security shit. You go with CeeLo, that's a security. That's a layer 2, like literal, that's cash. That's Ethereum.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
yeah. That's proper. And then you're reporting. They're not just like points. So like for me, like Honey and co-op tokens and HSC and all of those other DAOs, including Hypha tokens, are just points that are for contribution, but they're not liquid. They're not liquid at all. And so this keeps us in this sort of safe place where we
yeah.
have
So then
one.
how does somebody convert? Like, so then there's,
Then you have a redemption. Yeah. So then like then the organization Circle Trust for people who are verified members, only verified members could do this. They can like exchange their points for for cash, which comes out in CeeLo to their wallet. So you can separate the chains. You have one accounting chain for point system on a super lean system that's super fast, like Telos or Polkadot or Matic or something. But even like if you're using Matic, that's liquid. If you're using Polkadot, that's liquid. That's the beauty about Telos is you're able to like create like tokens and they're non. I mean, you can create layer 3 tokens on Ethereum, but then there's the gas fees. It's
yeah,
just like the mess.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so Telos
Like,
is like that's a
yeah,
reason why they chose Telos in the beginning, was because it was just like so much lower cost to like handle like all of these credit changes, all these credit transactions. Like one credit, you do an action and you're sending literally one credit to someone's wallet. Forget about it on Ethereum or any other
yeah.
chain. you
Yeah,
know,
because we need these tokens, these internal tokens, to be able to just go back and forth and back and forth, and
and not be just like a Web 2 token, like
but not be a Web 2 token. Yeah.
which is easy to fraud. You can always see the volume if it's a Web 3 token. So you can always, so essentially like you start at zero, and then for the network, for the credit tokens, and then we can talk with it. We can like work, we can workshop this with Todd, right? ID, but we already have like with Hypha, we can generate the tokens for testing, and we can like take those tokens and move them into a protocol for issuing. Very similar to like we can also use, what was that one that you were using for HSC, just for sharing tokens? What was that
Oh, the
called?
coordinate.
Yeah, because there was no gas for that, right? Or how did that? So you could just generate tokens for testing purposes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but with Coordinate, those tokens you couldn't use in other apps.
You could you could take them out. I mean, you could, yeah, I think you could pull them out and use them in other places. I never got that far, so I don't really know.
Right.
I don't think they're not just internal. But yeah, but
Well,
these are questions, right? Because right, people need to be able to cash out from the vouchers, right? But we don't want it. I agree. We
connected.
don't want it
Yeah.
just to like have these tokens have oh, somebody sent me, 10 tokens, and now I could
Credit.
just, I just cash those out, and now they're gone from the community.
Yeah, no, that's why you have these internal sort of network tokens that are just point systems to like measure things, and then people have that sort of like those points in their wallet, and those might be crypto points, just for like transparency purposes, but at least you know they could like take their credits and they could give their credits to somebody else, which I think is fine. If they're just moving them from one member to another member, that should be fine, because they're yeah. But they can't take those credits and go to an exchange and get cash for those credits. You know, um,
Yeah, because the idea is that those community tokens don't turn into cash. The community tokens turn into vouchers.
for
That's what
for
they do.
registered verified members, exactly. So
Yeah,
people that
they turn into vouchers, and then you have a voucher for services. But right, but the members need to, we need to have a way to cash out,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Because when money comes in, right, it could be for anything, right? Like when money comes in, then it needs to, somebody
Hive has
for
already done this. This is how Hive has been operating the whole time. You have your points, which is HUSD,
yeah.
and that's just a TLOS point that's equal 1-to-1 to dollar value. And you're issued, then you issue the person, these points,
Well, is
but
that what?
only registered people can, like, who are members of the platform or the community or the DAO, can they like ask the treasury to like pay them cash, and that cash comes out in EOS or Bitcoin or Ethereum. We could do CELO, which is great, so then we have CELO tokens in the treasury. But when but then there's treasurers. There would be like decentralized treasurers that would have to verify that this person is real, that this person is a member, and then to like, you know because if there wasn't everything, people will hack the system. You're going to get all of these people who are going to try to con the system coming on board, and they're gonna like offer they're gonna offer services, so they get credits, and they're gonna try to shake those credits just like they did with seeds. They're gonna try to take those credits and they're gonna try to get cash. And so by keeping the cash system separate with like a human treasurer layer, between the actual cashable tokens, the liquid tokens, and the non-liquid sort of credit tokens, I think is critical. The overhead on that though is if Circle Trust as a platform is issuing credits, and it grows to like a really big community, and you have like hundreds of people requesting cash every day, then you know, and you need like a multi-sig to send them cash tokens, to send them CeLO out of the CeLO treasury. So then like a workflow. Better Worlds or an organization comes to Circle Trust and says, I need services. They put cash to get credits, to get vouchers. They put in cash to get vouchers. And then they take those vouchers and they redeem those vouchers for services. And the vouchers get destroyed, they get burned. But then the person who did the services, that you know, like write a blog, the person that wrote that blog, then all of a sudden they're getting credits for writing that blog, that then they can then use to get other services. They can get other vouchers for other services with those credits they accrued through doing work, right? But in some cases, they take some of those credits and they want to essentially burn the credit or trade the credit for like real cash. That's when it gets, then Circle Trust becomes a payment platform. You know, it's like an Upwork or you know, payment processor. You know.
Yeah, and so that's why the vouchers, you know, are, you know, essentially where we're at now with those is that you know, the vouchers is going to be the feature that's, you know, going to take, you know, the longest to sort of implement, right? And so what we're hoping to do, you know, we just met with Will last week, and you know, so it seems like that's right. That might be, you know, 6 months until actually people can, you know, really get paid in that way. So, you know, the first alpha might just be very, very simple, you know, vouchers. You know, it might not even be, you know, I don't know when we're going to connect, you know, to Web3. I don't know. Todd has some ideas. You know, I really don't have the answers for the vouchers right now. You know, worst comes to worst, we'll just use the platform, and these vouchers will just be, you know, it'll be just super simple. One for one voucher. There's no cashing out. You know, it's just internal voucher exchanges. And if that's how it needs to be for the, you know, the rest of the year, you know, then that's fine. Because, you know, the idea here, right, this is alpha, you know, is that we're coming in and we're, you know, this is not a finished product, you know. We're creating the alpha version, and then, you know, we're co-developing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, playing it out, like having the ability for to like have a network of people that have service offerings and needs. You know, maybe they just have offerings and their only need is cash, but whatever. They platform for that, great. And then yeah, just trying to like imagine like the safest way for a service provider. So that's why, like, for me, like in designing quests, Quest would have multiple types of tokens issued for the quest. It would be like, you know, maybe the quest receives honey tokens, hypha tokens, and CeLO tokens. You know, so you're receiving these sort of like utility tokens or these point tokens and some cash. You know, so like when you say like write a blog, and you essentially like the quest is like you get $25 cash plus credits, you know, or just those two. You know, so you get credits that you can then use on the platform, and you're getting cash. So then Circle Trust has the people, it has the offers and the needs, and then some of the offers have cash attached to them. And the cash is coming from the requester. So Better Worlds wants to pay people that are in the Circle Trust network to do services for marketing or whatever. Then they come to Circle Trust, and then they work with somebody within Circle Trust to design to say, like how much budget do you have? So you enter the budget. We can pay this much cash. So then,
yeah, and that's, and then we're getting, that gets into that next phase, which is starting to offer, like specific services, for hire, right? Which is different than just, hey, we have a pool of commitment vouchers, and people can throw money in the pool, and then, according to certain, parameters, people can then, put their voucher into the pool and take some of that money. Right. So that's, that is this phase, right?
Yeah,
Starting to get into into, selling services from that entity. That to me is like phase 2.
Yeah, definitely. But ultimately that's going to be like what's going to get like adoption, when people can like do things for purpose and enjoy the process and still get money, like an Upwork or a Fiverr kind of system. Then it's going to be like practical, so that people can like, earn a living and get other services as a part and parcel. So
Yeah.
so and potentially even like ownership of a platform, when it makes sense to have ownership of a platform of a company. So like if I was going to Skillshare or Upwork or any of those, and I was putting in my offer, and then I knew that part of that was going to come in cash, part of that was going to come in credits to use on the platform, in the platform marketplace, and then part of that would come in like, some sort of almost like an equity token, or a point token that could have a yield from the platform company. So then I have like for me, so then I, as a service provider, am helping to drive economy through the platform. I'm getting a piece, the platform's getting a piece, but the piece of the platform is getting is I'm also getting like kind of ownership of the Amazon, ownership of the Fiverr.
Yeah.
In the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's
rather than just making Rob and a couple people rich.
Yeah, that's the model, right? It's that contribution-based model. Yeah, it's what you and I and Todd were talking about, yesterday, and and for now, right? Like there's a lot to that. There's so much to that. Right now, this is alpha, and we're basically saying like, hey, let's come in, let's start to create our member profiles. Let's start to add our offers and needs. Let's start to, right? Because what we're saying is like, even without money, without currency, that gets distributed to members, and all of that, right? There's a lot that a lot of value that we still have for each other. So, so let's get started with that. Let's get started with figuring out how to, community contributions. What are the contributions? How do we, like how much credits is worth, a monthly role? How much credits is worth, attending a meeting, that kind of thing. Get started with basic vouchers, basic sort of like non-monetary exchange. Like let's just, sort of get the basics going.
Yeah, just to get this right here, this part of the function of just like doing things, generating credits, and just sort of watching that. So back to this, when you go into contribution. Go to contribution again
Yeah.
to create. Oh, is this contribution? Oh, add a contribution. Go to add. Okay.
Here, I got to go to the
Oh,
home screen. This is the contribution form that I have to duplicate, right? So
okay.
here we have, there's also
Okay.
one for, miscellaneous. Yeah, but so
Sure.
so
So
these are, so the community decides, hey, these are all the contributions we have, and this is, the value for, for each one,
yeah, this can be like, yeah,
right?
this
Wrote a
can be
blog.
like refined over time. So the date,
Yeah.
today's
So
date, or like you select
I
the
did it
date.
last week.
Okay. So then right now you just have one thing for details, and then you submit, and then you automatically get those tokens that were assigned to write a blog post.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
right. I
so the
could, I
problem
could,
there is you can see what it is that you're going to end up like with people just like putting in contributions, and there's no verification process
well, there's
to
going
that.
to be, no, I mean, this is like, yeah, I mean, they have, here, I mean, I can show you, uh, no, there's verification for every, there's got to be verification for everything, right? So this is the actual, the user interface, right? So, I mean, I just sort of built a lot of
Contribution.
that last weekend. I'm learning, right? So you have, right? So you have your member directory, your member profiles, needs and offerings, contributions. You get that, right? There's feedback and reputation, vouchers, right? So there's feedback for the contributions that needs to happen. There's feedback for the vouchers that needs to happen, right? So it's not something where people just willy-nilly put stuff in and right. So some of that is right. This is a curated. It's a community process, right? With the community, ethos and values. So there's a lot,
Sure, but but just play it out that if there's not a step, a verification step, between like issuing your contribution and receiving the tokens, then people are going to end up, with tokens that aren't
there's a
verifiable,
verification step. I'm just saying, like that's yes. There
right?
has to
Right.
be verification for the contributions. There has to
It's-
be
So yeah,
feedback and verification for the vouchers.
right,
Yes.
right, right. Yeah. So that'll just be like a process when designing a contribution type, just like thinking it through, like what is the easiest way to verify that, and just like trying to like make that verification step like super effortless, or as effortless as possible, so it's
Yeah, for
fast.
sure. I think
That's what I'm getting. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think the idea is right that people can, just there's a button, right, which is just and even in the list here, right, the idea is like, sort of verify the voucher, right? So a person who has a contribution, the idea they can send a request to someone, to verify it,
Yeah, yeah.
or
It's like
or there's a button so someone can verify somebody else's, right? And so you have
they
to
put in
add
the
that, right? So that gets
they put in
added
the
to the actual
contribution
contribution record.
that then goes to like a list of needs to be verified, and then there's people in the community that are like KYC, registered verifiers.
Yeah.
People
There
like,
has to be, right. So some of this, right, there has to be those curators of the
and
community.
those curators, and then what's happening is that for each, for requests that have like higher token values, that might take like 3 verifiers. For requests that just have like very low token like credits, that's maybe just 2, or something verifiers. But this doesn't need, you don't need this right now. But before something were to be going public, then you would need to have all of that ironed out. Yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah. No, we're gonna put in the verification. I mean, I did a lot just last weekend, and I was just learning how to use the builder. So no, I think we'll have those verifications in. I think the vouchers is the hardest part. Like right now this is all it's internal, right? These are just internal numbers.
Sure. Yeah. No, this is just modeling. This is for modeling purposes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So then you accrue your credits with your profile, and then you exhaust those credits by redeeming them for vouchers. And so then there'll be the voucher marketplace.
right. And that's why there needs to be some fiat money coming in. right? Because or you can't have, because the vouchers have to get, you can't just create vouchers from thin air, right? So if you're redeeming for vouchers, if that's like the utility of the token, right, then there has to be enough enough fiat coming in to pay kind of for those extra vouchers to be
Oh,
created.
so
Because those vouchers have to come from somewhere, right there.
like a voucher for like one-on-one training, for instance. Um, so the person who is putting the offer out, um, that offer is not a voucher.
No, a voucher is different than an offer. An offering, I actually think it's better to call them needs and offerings. Like an offering is, like
Yeah.
it's not a voucher. It's basically saying, hey, this is like something I do. This is an offering I have. I can help you with information diagramming.
But when you
So
do
that's something
help
I
with
can do, right?
information
So
diagramming,
then you can contact Todd and you can be like, hey, that's, like cool, I want to set this up. Or if he, if or he's like, hey, this is, something I can pay, right? Like so the members, it's a connection, right? So the members are sorting that stuff out, on their own. So it's, this is just sort of like the base way of like, how do we meet each other's needs with our offers, right? So like, how do we connect to the right people? Right. And these offers and need, right? These member, ideally they're, there's a vast pool of these member profiles, even outside of holistic systems. But the vouchers is more like an actual service, so
okay. So
it's, yeah.
give
Does that
me
make sense?
give me a user journey for using a voucher.
Yeah. So the user journey for using a voucher is, right, uh, I have website services, right? So I'm gonna put in five, and I'm gonna create a voucher and I'm gonna say each voucher is is an hour of my website services, right up, whatever it is. So I put five of those vouchers, those gift cards, into the pool. And now I have 5 credits, right? So whatever other
You didn't
vouchers
put any
are
cash
in
in. So you
whatever other
generate a
vouchers are
voucher.
in the pool, I can now take 5 of those out and then redeem those, right? So it's like I go to it's like my redeem that and it's like a Panera Bread, gift card. So now
Like
I just go to
arcade
Panera
tokens or
Bread and I give them
tickets
the voucher
to co-op.
and they
Yeah.
give me food.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
you you
there's no sort of like dealings or workings or what, it's different. It's just like it's a gift card, it's money. You walk into Target and you bring the items to the front, and you give them the gift card and you walk out like cash.
well, it's this is when I was first designing the system, it's like an arcade. You go in, you spend the money to get the arcade tokens, and you use those to play the games or whatever. The
Yeah.
same thing is a food court in a lot of countries, especially in Asia, where you walk into the food court and you literally get a piece of plastic, you load it. You preload it with like $20. And you preload this piece of plastic, then you go around to all the stalls and buy all the drinks and food that you want from all of these different vendors, but you're using credits. And then when you check out, if you have any credits remaining on your card, you can like get some of that back or get that back in cash.
Right. So
But
that's
that's
kind of the
prevents
idea that
fraud in the marketplace.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right. The difference here though is that in the food court, right, you have like currency goes in. Like you have like fiat currency
You get the
has to
credit.
go in order to get food, right? In this offers, in this commitment pooling system, it doesn't require fiat currency to go
You
in.
can put in your time,
It's
essentially,
it
your
re it
services.
require it's not backed by whatever fiat currency is backed by, the trust of the government, and whatnot. It is backed by the actual value that the person is saying I'm offering, right? So it's just
Sure.
it's backed by by each person's value, right? And each person has a credit limit, So,
But
right.
just to
So,
clarify, when I come in and I want to create a voucher for photography services,
yeah.
then I fill out the form to create that voucher. And then the voucher gets created and it's in the marketplace.
Hmm.
And it has a credit valuation to it at that point.
Yeah, that's right. The
And
community
if somebody
says,
has
yeah.
enough credits, regardless of where the credits came from, they can redeem that voucher. Correct?
Yeah, I think that uh submitting a voucher is different than, in a sense, is different than just earning a credit and paying for it. In the end, it might all sort of be the same thing, but with the voucher, right? A voucher has to convert, like to a I think a credit has to convert to a voucher somehow, right? I don't have the mechanics of it worked out. I don't know,
Originally,
essentially it might all be it might all be sort of like the same thing, but
originally you said when an individual, originally the idea was that when an individual comes in and puts their voucher into the pool, their commitment into the pool,
yeah.
then they get issued credits, and there's a limit so that people don't just like
Oh yeah,
put in
credit. So I'm
vouchers.
saying, like, I'm talking about like credit. So maybe, yeah, like there's like the community tokens, and then there's the vouchers, the voucher credit. So I'm kind of separating those two things. If we're
Okay,
just talking, yeah, if we're just
okay.
talking about the vouchers, right? Your voucher credit is like,
Oh, but like the
or like
word
five
tokens
vouchers, right?
are
Like you can't
separated from
put
the
in any more
credits.
than because each voucher you put in is actually a kind of a debit on your account.
Yeah. And then when you put in that voucher, then you're getting credits that you can use towards other vouchers, correct?
Well, that is the question of how it works on the back end.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you're
But
getting credit. Essentially, you're getting credit, but you're getting voucher credits. You can,
it's a barter, is what it is. It's a system that allows for the bartering of services utilizing this intermediary credit voucher currency system, to like so that people can put in their time for photography, but they don't need to go one to one with the barter. They just put
yeah,
in their commitment and they can take anything else that's in the marketplace based, if they have enough credits for that, if they
that's
have enough
right.
in their wallet for that.
Yeah, it's
Now,
a
to
mutual
get
it's a mutual credit system.
and then to get more credits, if they don't have enough, they can put in some cash to get the tokens to then use for the voucher. So
Hmm.
that so then a business can come to the system and say, I want to support the system and I want to work with the people in the system. And in order to work with this person in the system, I need credits to buy their voucher, but I need to put in cash to get those credits. So that's that. The other thing you were showing me for contribution credits tokens, that was what you were saying is like that internal token to measure people's participation. So that's like the HSC co-op token, a utility
Yep.
token,
Yeah.
but it's not the HSC USD token, which is actually promising cash out. This
Yeah.
other token is just here. And then over time, we talked about this with the HSC co-op, is that over time that co-op token could be like, the co-op could say, hey, okay, we're in a good position now that we can like give redemption value to trade in these tokens for Circle Trust credits, because we have this relation, we have, there's that it'll work because HSC has cash to like back it or whatever. So then we can like be tracking people's contribution tokens on this ledger, DLT system or whatever, coordinate, whatever it is, and we're capturing that, and then we're like, okay, we're now going to be able to issue like, one credit for 100 co-op tokens or whatever it is. You can figure out the rate of exchange, and it's just a short-term thing. Like we said, it would be like an announcement, like, this quarter, or this month, next month we're going to do this, and then you only do it for a short period of time, and then that way you're not beholden to like exchanging people's credits constantly, or I mean, sorry, their cooperative token credits for the Circle Trust
Hmm.
tokens. So okay, so that was where my confusion was, because I saw your credits, and those were actually just like people's contribution credits. Those aren't
Yeah,
actually.
we're sort of like deciding whether to. This is a helpful conversation that end because I've been calling them tokens, and then Todd is thinking of more as like internal credits, and a token as more like something that you actually cash out, right? So but it's like, but now we're talking about, right, that you have a certain credit amount of vouchers, right? So maybe it's better to call them like, co-op tokens. This is like, right, what's going to make sense to people because they do need to be differentiated and people need
Yeah,
to.
so people that yeah, that support the Circle Trust operations, then I mean, I still feel like it would be like easy enough to just like spin up Circle Trust as a DAO, and then you're issuing these utility tokens that are super frictionless to the people that are providing the services, and those are on chain. They don't need to see them because there's going to be no exchange yet. But they're there. They're there. Or using Coordinate or some way to like keep track of people's points, the points that they've accrued that are non-paid. And then at some point, yeah, you can make a call to say, okay, now we're going to issue platform tokens, Circle Trust platform tokens for the co-op tokens at this rate, 100 to 1, 10 to 1, 1 to 1, whatever it is. So that way the people are putting in the time to help build the platform. At the end of the day, they're going to get some sort of redemption for that time, but it isn't necessarily going to come in cash redemption. It's just going to come in that they can use it for accessing vouchers on the platform.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they can use it. That's what, they can use it for accessing vouchers.
Yeah. So that way
And
it's still
so it turns into
clean.
vouchers, right? And the vouchers is what make it go round. But the extra vouchers that have to get created, the extra money that comes in order to seed those extra vouchers, and I think this works. Um, that money, right? Like
The
so at a
transaction
certain point,
fee.
so somebody comes in and puts money into the pool, they redeem a voucher, right? So the person who provided that service, they're going to be able to get some, money back. But depending on the how the numbers work, they're not getting like 100% of, what we say what the voucher level is. They might get 90% or 80%, and then the rest of that goes to fund, fund the community, right? To put, that to get seeded into the pool, so that way there's
That
a
provides
balance.
liquidity to then be able to offer redemption for these other tokens. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah. So let's look at something that actually works and is currently in existence. Adobe. So every month I pay $29.99 to Adobe for their stock, to access their stock libraries. And that $29.99 issues credits. So every month I get like X number of credits for the dollars that I put in. And then the cost for, I'll just explain it to you, but then the cost for an HD video is 8 credits. The cost for a photo is like 1 credit, so those are the two main things, is like video and photos. And so I pay a subscription fee to Adobe. Like, this is not for the software. I pay another subscription
yeah.
fee for $60 a month for the Creative Cloud. But I pay an additional minimum $30 a month on an annual contract to get credits. And those credits just accrue. So I can go to the Adobe stock. I can show you how that looks.
I get it. 'Cause
I go to Adobe, I see how many
go
credits I
through.
have, and then I shop on the marketplace for stock, and I use my credits. So that that in this case, the marketplace would be like services, and then I pay a subscription or a one-time to be able to receive these credits that I can then use for services on the marketplace, on the Circle Trust. So that way, Circle Trust could have a business model where people just they get it's better for them, like they get more credits if they're paying on a subscription. If they're like locked in with they're connected to Stripe and their card is getting swiped every month, going to Circle Trust, that like $30 goes in and they get like 30 credits or 40 credits if they're on an annual contract. So like so the more people pay, the more credits. Same with Adobe, I'm paying the minimum, but I could pay $100 a month to get more credits, and I get more credits per dollar the more I pay. So like then I can stretch, you know, I can stretch the value that I get back, the more I put in or the longer the term of the contract. I mean, it's only year to year, but I'm paying monthly, annual contract to get 8 credits or whatever it is a month. But if I was paying double that or triple that, I would be getting, like double that. Instead of getting 16 credits, like say 8 and 16, I would be getting like maybe 20 credits. And then if I pay double that, then I'd be getting like 50 credits. I would keep getting more for my value the more I pay into the system.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
I got you. I got
and
you.
then what
I
happened?
gotta start to wrap up.
But then what happens is that the person that's providing the service, the voucher service, or the person that owns that stock item, they're getting a payout, for that stock based upon the agreement they have with the platform for the trade. So what you're saying is, yeah, there will be a transaction fee that stays with the platform that will build up the profits, the margins for the platform, that then all of the people that are working and contributing to the platform, then they're going to be able to get services. So it should work in the end, so that by 2026 and the offers for Circle Trust is you can become a member, and then you can become like a buyer or subscriber for services, and you have this whole host of service, just like Upwork or any of those things are. And you can pay a subscription fee, or you can just do like a one-off thing.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, I'll let you go. But yeah, good job so far on sort of modeling out that app. That's looking good.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Are you going in on being an alpha member? Is that
That was the plan. Yeah.
okay?
I,
Good.
I, the essential thing is generating cash flow. So, to
I get it,
survive.
but yeah, yeah. I mean, an alpha basically what we're saying is like, coming in and starting to, well, we went over it. I don't have to tell you what we're doing, but we need people to start and at least, participate in a minimum way, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, to like get it going.
Yeah. Well,
So that's the plan now. Um, and I don't know if oh yeah, you came later. So, I mean, the idea is right at this. So I put in it just bothering you to put in your schedule availability, your general schedule availability for the HSC meetings. Yeah, I mean, the idea is that with this alpha group, what we're saying is like, either you're an active participating member, or you're like, an inactive member and just, and a community member. So we're saying like these are the member agreements, right? Whatever we decide that is, you need to, do this many contributions, a month, or you need to put in this amount of, money a month, or you need to, put in this amount of, vouchers or whatever. So, we're saying like, okay, the people who want to participate, let's, come in and participate. And, we're building it. So it's based on, it's basically, at the root, I think it works, it works if it's community platform, that a group of people are saying, okay, well, we're going to participate and we're going to get value from it, using like this methodology. And yeah, right now we're doing, like with all these things, we're doing some of the heavy lifting, the first people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, Sai is working on some stuff, right, with the Asana.
Yeah, yeah. Sai's working on that. Yeah, I mean, if you want to, if there's anything that you want to jump into, um, and help with, I can I can show you the Asana and, let you know what's there generally. I mean, I know you have a lot on your plate, so, maybe you're not, maybe at this point, you wait a couple weeks until we get the first alpha members going, and then you just, you go through the onboarding and then you start to participate, when we have the contributions, we start to set those up. There's going to be plenty to do as far as just the participation, and giving feedback and using the app, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's time to activate us, I mean, and I know it's been a lot of planning and all of that, and I think the time now is to sort of call people in and activate us and say, okay, let's jump in, let's get those 15 people. We get 15 people that are, participating at a certain level and are using the app, you know, then it's going to be easier to bring in more, and then we start getting those people who are, have needs and offerings that are going to help us.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be really interested to see what we can do in the beginning. Um, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay.
so ponder that, it's yeah, that's the deal. It's go time. It's put up or shut up time.
Okay.
For the holistic systems. That doesn't mean that, anybody's required to, do anything that they're not, don't have the capacity to do now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll just yeah. So what am I supposed to do with lettuce?